小小咪，我们今天要继续讲的《Mouse and the Motorcycle》哦。你还记得我们讲到第几章了吗？第三章，我们今天要讲第三章哦。我们前面已经讲完了第一章，小男孩和他的父母搬进一个旅馆，破旧的旅馆。然后第二章里面有一只小老鼠跑了出来，它叫什么 ？Ralph， 对不对？然后他看到那一台摩托车，非常的兴奋，好像骑了上去。结果不幸的事情发生了耶。我们来看 Chapter 3 Trapped， 他被抓住了。Even though Ralph woke up feeling sick and dizzy, his first thought was of the motorcycle. He hoped it was not broken. He sat there at the bottom of the wastebasket until the whirly feeling in his head stopped, and he was able slowly and carefully to stand up. He stretched each aching muscle and felt each of his forelegs to make certain it was not broken.When Ralph was sure that he was battered but intact, he examined the motorcycle. He set it upright and rolled it backward and forward to make sure the wheels still worked. One handlebar was bent and some of the paint was chipped off the rear fender. But everything else seems all right.Ralph hoped so, but there was no way he could find out until he figured out how to start the engine. Now, he acted too much even to try. Wearily, Ralph dragged himself over to the wall of his metal present and sat down beside the apple core to rest his aching body.He leaned back against the side of the waste paper basket, closed his eyes, and thought about his Uncle Victor. Poor near-sighted Uncle Victor, he too had landed in a metal waste paper basket, jumping there quite by mistake, unable to climb the sides.He had been trapped until the maid came and emptied him out with the trash. 对吼，上一章讲到他掉到垃圾桶里面了，还是回收桶，他现在就倒在里面，还好没有受伤，可是全身都很痛哎。No one knew for sure what had happened to Uncle Victor, but it was known that trash in the hotel was emptied into an incinerator. Ralph felt sad and remorseful thinking about his Uncle Victor getting dumped out with the trash. 你知道垃圾都会去哪里吗？知道，到哪里去？垃圾场有可能欸，对啊，这该不会就是 Ralph 的命运吧？ His mother had been right after all.His poor mother gathering crumbs for his little brothers and sisters while he, selfish mouse that he was, sat trapped in a metal present from which the only escape was to be thrown away like an old gum wrapper. Ralph thought sadly of his comfortable home in the mouse hole. It was a good home.Untidy but comfortable. The children who stay in room 215 usually left a good supply of crumbs behind, and there was always water from the shirts hung to drip dry beside the wash basin. It should have been enough. He should have been content to stay home without venturing out into the world looking for speed and excitement. 所以他现在为了寻求刺激，自己陷入了危险。你觉得要怎么样可以逃出那个垃圾桶里面？有办法逃得出去吗？我们继续看下去。Outside in the hall, Ralph heard footsteps and met the bellboy saying,These new people in 215 and 216, somehow they got the idea there are mice in the hotel. I just opened the window and told them the management wouldn't stand for it. Ralph heard a delighted laugh from the second-floor maid, a college girl who was working for the summer season. Mice are adorable, but just the same, I hope I never find any in my rooms. I'm afraid of them. There were two kinds of employees at the Mountain View Inn, the regulars, none of them young, and the summer help, who were college students working during the tourist season. If you don't like mice, you better stay away from that knot hole under the window in room 215, advised Matt. 所以他早就知道那边有老鼠了吧？是不是？ The sound of voices so close made Ralph more eager than ever to escape. No! He shouted, his voice echoing in the metal chamber. I won't have it. I'm too young to be dumped out with the trash. In spite of his axe, he jumped to his feet, ran across the wastebasket floor, and leaped against the wall, only to fall back in a sorry heap. He rose, backed off, and tried again. There he was on the floor of the wastebasket a second time. It was useless, utterly useless. He did not have the strength to tip over the wastebasket. Ralph was not a mouse to give up easily. He considered his problem a moment before he rolled the motorcycle over to the wall of the wastebasket. Then he seized the apple core by the stand and dragged it over to the motorcycle. By putting his shoulder under the stand end, he managed to raise the core until it was standing on its blossomed end. But when he put his front paws around it and tried to lift it, he found he could not. 他还是没办法。The core was too heavy to lift up onto the seat of the motorcycle. Ralph was disappointed, but when he stopped to think it over, he saw that even if he could manage to get the apple core on top of the motorcycle, it still would not be high enough to allow him to climb out of the wastebasket. 所以他现在想尽办法要逃出来，到底能不能成功呢？Bruised and defeated, Ralph dropped the cord and decided that he might as well be thrown out with the trash on a full stomach as an empty one. He took a bite of apple and felt a little better. It was the best food he had eaten for several days, juicy and full of flavor and much better than the dump sweetback crumbs that last guest had left behind. He took several more bites and settled down to a hearty meal, saving the seeds for dessert. Two ant squirts appeared on the rim of the wastebasket. Go away, said Ralph, crossly, because he did not like to eat food crawling with ants, and because it embarrassed him to be seen in such a predicament. The ants laughed as silently as they had come. When Ralph had eaten his fill of the apple, he curled up beside the cord. He only hoped that someone might happen to drop a Kleenex over him. It was bad enough to be carried to one's dorm in a wastebasket. But to be carried to one's dorm by a shrieking maid was unthinkable. There was one tiny ray of hope. If someone did happen to drop a Kleenex over him, he just might have a chance to jump and run when the maid tipped the basket up to empty it into the incinerator. The thought that The boy was sure to miss his motorcycle and start looking for it. Kept Ralph tossing and turning behind the apple court until, stuffed and exhausted, he finally fell asleep. 他在垃圾桶里睡着了。你猜他会不会脱臼呢？已经第4章了，我们明天再接着讲吧。下一章好像要讲到这个小男孩了。好，明天见。这本就是《The Mouse and the Motorcycle》第3章。The end.